Welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I have got a couple of really fabulous games to show you this morning. Holy cow. Beautiful day out in the park. You got to get out in the trees, you guys. I'm serious. Get away and get out in the trees, get out in the mountains. There's a refreshment to that. This one is Canal versus Joner. And this one is such a beautiful illustration of a good principle that I had to show it to you. When I first played the game through this game, I said, yeah, this is one I definitely want to show the boys and the girls. There is no question. The greatest audience in the world, I decided I'm going to give you a really fabulous game, so that's how this works, right? Bishop comes to c4, bishop comes to c5, so we've got a strong opening, which is usually the case, of course. d3, and now black's going to bump the other knight into this real quick, and white says, okay, that is a great idea. Let's do that. And then he secures his center. Now, this is really interesting, because now bishop comes to g5, puts the pin on the knight. Yeah, baby. And black says, okay, let's immediately address this issue for the moment. And look what white does. White will take the knight. Now that affects the influence of the central squares, right? Understand, a lot of people don't do this move, but that does change the nature of the influence. The knight can't hit this square, and the knight can't hit that square anymore. Let's see if that becomes significant. I'm just trying to let you know this is... Now, it's true, he exchanged the piece, and it's true, white gave up his bishop pair. That's correct. But the queen now cannot influence either one of these squares. So that's one of the effects of the bishop taking the knight. Let's see if that's significant. Man, is it significant, right? So white is going at it right now. So he puts the black queen back on her home square, and now he will improve his center, giving himself a chance to push that d pawn in time, right? So this is really getting interesting. Black doesn't seem to be developing as speedily. He's moving his knight a few times. He's moved his queen a few times. This could be significant, and it is, because he bumps that pawn, yes. Now the pawn will take the pawn, and the knight will take the pawn. It looks like white has controlled the center really good at this point. The knight will exchange the knight, and the bishop will exchange the knight, and now white has the better development and the better center. Very interesting how this works. So black's going to go ahead and properly castle at this point. You better castle by this point, yeah. And here comes the queen. Now, bring out the queen, of course, yes. Get your powerful pieces out into the game. And black says, yes, that's correct, I've got to do this. And then the bishop, interestingly enough, bops down here to b3. He's going to maintain his long diagonal, and there's no point in being a target in the center and losing a move, right? So look what black does. Here we go. On the files. And of course, white now says, okay, now's the proper time. Look, the rook across from the king, castle. Don't leave your king across from a rook, no matter how much material is between you and that rook, right? So that's a good move on his part. Bishop will come out. And now see, this is one of the things Nimzovich said, Silman says, Yusupov says, lead in development is only temporary. So black has basically caught back up. So now we need to start focusing more on position and influence of pieces, yes? Because now he's caught up. Rather than lose his other bishop, white brings his bishop down to c2. He wants to maintain one bishop, because that long diagonal toward the castle king is really excellent, because it's a little bit weaker because of the pawn move, and now he weakens himself even further. So I think white's choice here not to exchange that bishop is going to work out real good. And now this gives him time to tuck the king away so that this pawn isn't stuck there due to this bishop. So king is in safety, and now here comes black. Black taking charge of the files. No, it's not an open file yet, but now he can push that pawn with authority, right? Well, here comes white gaining more space with the pawn thrust and a potential danger center roll. So this is getting tense. Bishop is going to come back to d7, but no reason to leave him in target, and sure enough, his sugar's sweet. Here comes the pawn roller. So black has done decent catching up in development, but white seems to have more of the power, doesn't he? Because of those fabulous pawns. This is a real good look at the power of central pawns. And then he comes to knight e6. And you go, wait a minute. Knight e6? Yes, knight e6. It's a temporary sacrifice. What he does is he's breaking up the kingside pawn cover, right? See that. That is really important to see. It's worth a temporary sacrifice to open up that king a little further, right? And now f takes e6. Notice how that sacrifice of that knight, because he was able to exchange the pawns, opened up his own file, hitting the queen. So see, he's going to get his knight back. That's a beautiful move. That is really a beautiful move. So the queen has to move, and of course, he gets his knight back. So that was a very slick move by white, and white's open file is stronger than black's. Observe that. That is really interesting to see, because now white has a base. He's got an outpost for his rook, which is really interesting. However, black can double his open file. And this is always, man, when your opponent's doing this, you really need to pay attention, because that can be rough quick. Okay, so what would be called for at this point? Of course, get your other rook into play. If black can do it, white can do it. And white still has masterful control of the better open file. How white plays this with open files is so beautiful. It's wonderful to see. It really is. King will come up to g7, and now he will push the pawn, attack in the center. Yes, you've got that file on the king side, but keep running right up the center. Rook will come to h8. Now he's in trouble. And then he keeps pushing that pawn. Make that rook be a babysitter. That puts that rook on defense, doesn't it? Yeah, that is really interesting. However, the queen does come into play. The queen saves the day by helping that rook not end up being a babysitter. And now you got that. And it's here that black resigns. Can you see why? That is quite the position, isn't it? You can see the queen's going to go to g6 next, right? You really need to see that. What an incredible end to a phenomenal open file and a very powerful diagonal here. That is a beautiful game for open files and diagonals. So there is your Backyard Professor Chess video for the day. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a splendid game. When I played through this, I said, oh yeah, yeah baby, I'm going to show this to everybody. So in the meantime, remember, be good, do have well, fun, nice, whatever, make friends, be happy, be nice, and all that jazz. And I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess videos.